Clint,
Colette.
happy week of Thanksgiving.
Pre-Thanksgiving week.
Pre-Thanksgiving week. I had a recruiter screen this morning, and he apologized for being late, and he said, it's just one of those days, the Thanksgiving week, where everybody tries to shove 5 days into 2 days. And I was like, yeah, man,
Yeah.
I totally get it.
Yeah, I feel that. That happens on systems too. Like people are shoving all their commits into GitHub today, and it's kind of a high-risk day.
And you don't even have a code freeze, I am assuming.
Yeah. And then nobody's around to respond. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
It's that time of year for sure. I always feel weird because I like to usually work through it. Like unless I have somewhere to go. And it's just like every day there's like nobody around. No one to play with at work,
Or there's like somebody new. It's like a round robin of like, who's going to be out this week or next week or the week after? Who knows?
And it's like that till January, actually.
What critical brain will we be missing?
It's like that. It's right. It's just like a grab bag until January, until everybody comes back, and then everybody's around for January. It's code freeze season, right? We did that last year.
Code slush season.
Yeah. We have code chill now too. Code chill, which is like, people just chill. Chill with the commits. I don't even know what it means. We were debating it today in our team meeting. Like, okay, so it's not a code freeze. So can I like turn on this feature flag today? And we decided that what it really is don't make life harder for another team that's understaffed because there's people out on vacation. That's what we decided, is like, we're not in a code freeze where we don't want to like change the UI because we have a conference coming up or something. We're like, just go slow, chill. And I don't hate it anymore. I used to hate it. I don't hate it anymore. There's no right answers, folks.
But it turns out there are not. What are your Thanksgiving plans this week?
Oh, we have kind of a Friendsgiving tradition. We have some friends who live here. We don't really have any family that lives close. My wife's family's in Europe. My family lives far away. And so we just have them over. They're actually from Korea, so they don't have any family in the US either. And it's nice. We trade. We go to their house, they come to our house.
Oh, nice.
So we're just gonna do that. Otherwise, if the snow falls in Big Bear, we will go up this weekend. I think they're like maybe on opening this week. I did go to Mammoth yesterday.
Ooh.
And got fully humbled by the mountain.
Wow.
First day back in the season is always you never know. And I fell 3 times, which all last season I fell once. So it was a rough day, but that is how skiing works.
Well, hopefully you weren't too sore today. Yeah.
I was very sore, but not like where I hit, just my body. Because after the second fall, I was skiing like this.
Yeah, you like
everything. I don't want to fall.
Yeah.
So everything, I was just like, from being tense, which I felt like relates to some of our work as well. Like how, after that second incident in a week,
you're like, I'm just going to stare at the screen until it's the end of the week.
Yeah, I'm just going to refresh the graph again. Like, everything's okay, right? Everything's okay. I can't have another one today. How about you?
We're going to Nashville. My dad, I don't know if I talked about it on the podcast, but my dad passed away a couple summers ago, and he was a guitarist and had a large collection of guitars, one of which was very vintage and very valuable, apparently. And so we're gonna, 2 of his favorite guitar shops in Nashville do consignment, and the value is that they also like confirm, like they'll work directly with Gibson to confirm the authenticity of something, so that we don't have to worry about that with like somebody who wants to buy it. So yeah, I'm gonna keep one of my dad's guitars, but I'm not gonna keep the crazy pants expensive one, because I think my cello is like, makes me nervous enough with what it's worth, and like I feel like a fancy guitar that I would hardly ever play, I would feel even worse about like something happening to it. So
do you play the guitar as well?
Very poorly. I can play like 2 Elliott Smith songs, which I feel like is very on brand for me. So, yeah.
I can play G, C, and D.
Okay. Yeah.
That's my chords.
So I mean, look, as I told my husband the other day, Sonic Youth. I love the first Sonic Youth record. They could not play any of their instruments. So like, in my opinion, being able to play an instrument is not really. I'm planning on like getting really into. My dad also had a Moog, and I'm keeping that. So I'm gonna learn how to play the Moog and like use the Moog and do some stuff with synths because I think that's really fun. So
nice. I don't want to get too pedantic. Is it Moog or Moog? I actually don't know.
I don't know.
Moog.
Moog.
I've heard Moog. I say Moog when I see one.
It's 2 O's. Like, I'm teaching my daughter how to read right now, and I feel like she would say Moog.
Well, you definitely should teach her this then, because we all know there are corner cases to every stupid spelling in the world.
Well, and also
I have no idea.
Wasn't his name? His name was Bob, right? What was his first name?
I don't know anything about them, unfortunately.
He was like
I've just been corrected, so now
something.
I corrected you.
All right. Okay.
I don't know.
Well, I have a Moog. My dad also made guitar effects pedals, and I have all of those. So
wow, cool.
Those. Yeah. So
neat.
Yeah.
Well, have fun in Nashville.
Thanks. We have a fun guest today.
So much fun.
And a fun subject, I feel like, in terms of, our ability to be pedantic, but also what that pedantry means. And so, yeah, I'll just get right to it. He wrote us. We made him write us on our questions. Will Gallego is a seasoned software engineer with extensive experience across multiple companies. Currently staff engineer at Grafana Labs since July 2024. Will previously held the role of senior software engineer at PagerDuty, leading to the development of integrations for the Jelly product. Will played a pivotal role as a software architect at Jelly from January 2020 to November 2023, where foundational infrastructure and backend services for a SaaS focused on incident management were established. So Will is like one of the first people at Jelly. Additional experiences include senior engineering positions at Fastly, Etsy, Buddy Media, and Heavy.com, as well as web development at ATTAP Technologies. Will holds a Bachelor of Science degree in computer science from Wake Forest University, earned in 2004, and Clint knows that Will makes an appearance in the ostensibly anonymized Etsy debriefing guide. Please welcome. Please welcome Will to the podcast. Hello.
Hey, Will.
Oh, hi.
How are you doing, Will?
Oh, I'm good. I'm getting ready for time recording. A couple days of Thanksgiving. I have a laundry list of preparations. There is no laundry list of preparations that's good enough for the surprises that hit for Thanksgiving. But all the same, I'm very much looking forward to it.
Your run books can only be so good, right?
Are you hosting, Will?
I am hosting.
Oh.
Now,
how many people?
4 people, including it's me, my wife, my daughter, and my father. How many pies do we need?
4.
6.
Yeah. Well, welcome, Will. We're so excited to have you here to talk about a question that is near and dear to, I think, all of our hearts, that we forced you to ask. So I just want to like put this out there that Will was talking about this with us. And we said, you know what? You should put that in the Google form for This Is Fine, and we'll do a podcast episode on it. And so here we are. Will, is it okay if I read from
Absolutely.
the text? Okay. So this is the question that came in. A coworker asked why we don't have an on hold state for our incidents. I jotted down a few ideas why I don't think we're ever on hold during an incident. What does it mean to be on hold? Is going to sleep and waiting for the morning still part of the incident? If something happens while you're on hold, does that get included in an activity log? And then you were like, Full disclosure, this is Will. You guys forced me to add this. So, the first thing that this question reminded me of was M. Ruby's talk. What is incident severity, but a lie that we tell ourselves? And I would like to also push that into the category of what is incident status, but a lie that we tell ourselves. So this came from like a very real situation, right? That you had, Will?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What do you want to tell us about it?
Trying to remember all the details of it, to be honest. Part of it was customer requests and such. Part of it was the security incidents that go on and saying, well, is there anything we can do right now? No. Is it paused? Are we waiting? Are we going to just tap our fingers along the desk until an upstream patch is created for the CVE, for a third party, for like, what does it mean to be continually doing something and monitoring an ongoing situation? Other examples, like how many, it's a chock-a-block year of cloud providers and major services that just go down this year. And again, you can't do a ton. You can do some communication. You maybe can figure out some places to shore up parts of your system that are more severe and make sure things are like stop the problem as much as you can. Hey, we're going to turn off the service until things are restored. But is that really pause? And that's where I think I'm generating a lot of the ideas around this question.
Clint, have you ever put an incident on hold?
Yeah, it's interesting. So when Will asked this in our Riz Slack, I had some responses, and I feel like the universe came and slapped me down for my responses.
So I feel like the universe slapped me down for my question altogether. It was like,
yeah,
hey, well, interesting, but no.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt. And then the universe was like, no, you're wrong. So my feeling at that time was like, of course there can be an on hold. Like, there, it's sometimes there's just nothing to do, right? And that there's a need to keep holding on to the customer impact, but there's no need to hold the people. I don't know. I can't remember exactly how I felt then, because now how I feel, because since then we had an incident where somebody raised like something very minor. They were like, hey, in this very small percentage of cases, some customers are experiencing some sort of problem. Can you please look into this? We would call that like a low severity customer specific incident. And as we looked in, we were like, oh dear God, this has been going on for months and it's affecting everyone. And it's really a big deal when it does, even in a small percentage of time. Now, what do I do? It's been going on for months. Like, what do is this an incident? Right? Like that question came up, and my also cheeky answer is usually yes. It's always yes. But then like, do I need to start the machine? That's kind of how I felt like. And do I need to keep the machine running? Or can we like work this during business hours? And does this preempt really important project work? Like, or because it's been months of this impact, do we, that's where I think I kind of gained some perspective on what you were trying to say, Will, there is like, no, sometimes you're just not working on it, but it's not really on hold. It's still an incident.
Yeah, fully. It's depending on what we define as on hold. And I think within the pedantry, there's a kernel of a question. There's some ideas to tease about, and the assumption of our incidents and how we treat them. It's worthwhile digging back into some foundational ideas, some core principles, and what we mean by them. 15 years ago, I'm not going to speak for the both of you, but 15 years ago for me, if someone said root cause, yeah, there it is over there. And now I would ask, what do you mean by root cause? And I would start digging to them. If folks still want to use root cause as a term, sure. And I think I'd treat the same way, that same idea with putting something on pause. If you want to use that as a colloquialism, as a shortcut to what you mean, that's fine. But I also want us to think about what happens to our system, to the people within that system when we are, quote, on pause.
Right. I guess to me, the question about on hold as a status for an incident is like, what does that do? Like, what is the impact of doing, like, why would we do that? And if it's to like be like, oh, well, people can go home and sleep because there's nothing that can be done. Well, can we downgrade the severity then? No, like AWS is on fire. Like this is not, it's very severe, right? It's like, okay, well, shouldn't we then, like, what happens if AWS comes up in the middle of the night and everybody's at home? Like, what are we doing? And I think, like, for me, it's a little bit like, okay, well, what are we trying to chase? Like, what's the goal of putting it on hold? What are we saying to people or to ourselves, or like signaling to the organization by doing that? Do you know why somebody wanted to put the incident that you were initially like having this discussion about, Will, on hold? Like, what was the motivating factor there? Or do you have an idea?
Sure. Part of it was a customer request. Full disclosure, I work at a company called Grafana Labs. Some folks know that. And as part of that company, I work on the IRM team, the Incident Response Management team. We build tools for all the stuff that goes into putting together incident, and our customers are always asking, hey, we do this, we do that. And, we're trying to work with them to build cool things, which is great because I love talking about this stuff and I love to get to build it for our customers. And I often want to take a pause of my own and think about what it is we're trying to build for folks to make sure we're achieving what they're looking to do. Sometimes you ask for something and you get something else. And some of our customers were looking at like that. And internally, it's the idea, and I'm making some assumptions again, because I think I am coming from I don't know if you can really put something on pause, but the idea of, if there's no actions to take, should we be holding our breath in this moment? Is there something we are tensely awaiting? Are we ready to pounce on something? Are we putting together code? Are we trying to diagnose something still? And again, I think it's from the idea of, we figured out some issue with this. We've made some kind of diagnosis, and potentially it's either we can't put a fix into production because we are blocked on something, or we're awaiting something externally to us, a third-party service. The person who owns this product is on PTO. They have the passcode in their 1Password and we can't get to it, or any number of reasons. And so we are blocked from any major action to take right now. And I think, to a point you made earlier, sometimes you're just exhausted and you can take a break and switch things out. The question I would ask folks is, are you in an incident if you're just monitoring things? And I would say yes. And if you're just monitoring things, can you stop? Can you put a hold on monitoring? At which I would say no. Mm-hmm. And if you're never stopping the monitoring, it doesn't have to be active. You don't have to be staring at dashboards, but you're still holding a phone or something.
But hear me out. Please. What if putting an incident and on hold stops the clock on MTTR, and therefore
you cracked it.
You can say we were blocked, and so we're not going to count that against our MTTR.
This little outlier, no.
And then
have we got into Bizarro World? Sorry. No, I understand what you're saying though, Colette. I mean, like, no, but I mean, taking the metric alone, like it changes the recording of the incident. Like, let's step back from the bad statistics. Just the recording would be different, right? Yeah, the timeline is now, it has a pause event.
I'm making a joke, but I'm also not, because it's like, I do like it serves putting something on hold also sends a message to people who might poke into your incident channel and be like, hi, what's going on with this? Why aren't we resolved yet? Right? Like it can function as a way to send a message to others about kind of being blocked and not having a path forward that may be more like that sign on the door that says, be back in 15 for lunch. Like, nobody's going to like bug you then, right?
Will they?
I don't know.
Well, some might, right? But they might be like, I actually need an answer now, right? How dare they pause my incident that is affecting my customer, right? It is a signal. I think that's what you're saying, Colette, it's a signal.
Well, it's a social tool. I guess, is what I would say. It's a social tool that may or may not be effective in whatever organization you're in. I am not advocating for using it, but I do think it's a little bit like Schrodinger's incident. Like, it's like, okay, so are you pretending that this isn't happening by putting it on hold? Like, it's still happening, right?
No, I think it's a useful signal. I'm thinking about a more recent incident, actually, we had where we found out very accidentally, actually, this is an amazing case, trying not to go too deep into it, that the sequential identifier column in a Postgres table was 9 days from overflowing.
Nice.
And so that we found that out on like late on a Friday. And we started looking into it for a few hours, and we're like, okay, we know now we can't fix this in 15 minutes. Like, you can't just go to the database and say, fix this for us. Mm-hmm. It's going to require work. We had this moment where we're like, do we need to work on this over the weekend? Like, because it's a really big table and it might take 4 days to do whatever we need to do. And pausing it, right, was a decision we had to make. And we wanted people to know, like, no, we see this problem. Like, if something comes up around this table, please let us know. Unpause it and get us back. But it was a social decision that we made, that we're like, no, we're not going to burn ourselves out over the weekend. We're going to take the risk to let those 2 days burn off the clock, because we want the people to be like fully capable of responding. And it worked out. But we also actually talked about this in our retro. That could have been bad. Like, that could have turned out real bad if we came up with a solution that took 6 days and we only had 5 left. We would have just been in trouble. And that pausing, but we had that option available to ourselves, so we took it.
Can I ask what the remediation was? Was it just changing the type on it to a 32-bit to a 64-bit?
So that was the thing. So if you're familiar with Postgres, that locks the table for reads and writes until it's done. And we did a test on a clone, and that took hours. Mm-hmm. So we can't do that. The site would all be down. Like, everything would be down for those hours. This is at the core of the product. And we could make a new column and then like backfill it, but there were 1.6 billion rows in this table, so that was going to take days and days and days. We actually figured out that we could just drop the column.
Love it.
Like, at some point we went, what if we just got rid of this dumb sequential ID column? We have a UUID that we give to users, like, and we were like, that's unique. We don't need a sequential, so we dropped it. No, we cut out the appendix, is what we called this one appendicitis in the workspace table.
Did you do a screen test, like, where you just confirmed that it was true, that nothing was depending on that?
Oh, column? Yeah, we changed the code to not use it anymore.
Yeah.
And basically, like, and we walled it off with permissions just in case we could. Never mind. That was a bad idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that ate up 3 days.
Yeah.
Right? Because we needed to like let users use the app and like get data, and that's the thing. And so when we finally finished it, we're like, okay, we had 5 days left. Glad that worked, because if it hadn't, the backfill option was deemed to take 5 days, and so we barely could have made it. So but like relating it back to this problem of pausing and getting everybody off of it. And there wasn't anybody burning on this. No customer. In fact, we accidentally stumbled on this, by the way. Somebody just was like, there's something weird here. But like that pause was very useful to us. I think we collected thoughts. We thought about it over the weekend a little bit, like there is some value in also letting go. And like, I think I liked what you said, Will, or do we need to hold our breath? Right. We didn't. We're like, no, we can keep breathing for over the weekend. We'll get back on this on Monday morning.
I think that's where I'll self-ascribe to pedantry here a bit, and maybe if I dare say, the good kind of pedantry of what are we trying to accomplish, which is, I think, what we're getting at with stories too, as part of this. If it's trying to give ourselves both a chance to rest and come back fresher, or to gather ourselves for what needs to be done, and then also send a signal to others, that is incredibly valuable. I fully ascribe to that. That makes a lot of sense. Is it just the naming that I'm having a problem with? We're on pause. I think that might be it.
Why do you have to change the status, I guess, is my question. Like, why not just like let it roll in the channel and like tell the automated bot that bugs you about status updates to go fuck itself all weekend, you know? You can have like battling bots that just like like you don't have to change the status, do you? Or do you?
Let me ask you this too. We're going to change the status. And this is kind of answering your question. I don't mean to roll over your question, Colette. There is something to send that signal out, to send a status to say, hey, this is our current expectations on the incident. What happens if something goes wrong horribly while you're on pause? Did you make the wrong decision to call that on pause versus we were trying to figure things out? If you say like, hey, we're still working through the issue, we can see it creeping up, CPU is at 95%, and it's about to pop at any moment, and you're still working on something and it hits, people go, well, they were trying. They were making efforts. They were as fast as they could, type, you know, burning through the Amazon for Claude to come up with the code solution that we can vibe code into production, whatever it might be. And you just, oh man, you couldn't get it in time. But if you say, hey, we put it on pause because we thought it was okay, and it doesn't become okay. And then sales is like, wait a minute, I just lost a customer because of you. You put it on pause? What do you mean? How are you stopping this? Things are on fire. It gives it's very convenient in the moment. And to your point, Clint, if you ran out of time, going pause is, quote, the wrong thing to do. Heavy quotes there.
But like that could be true of any action you take in an incident. For
sure. Which is why ascribing what you're doing, what you're calling it, saying you're on pause, it sounds like we're just on a break. Hey, we'll be back 5 for smoke. Like, you know, that kind of attitude. Because people who aren't always in the grind or don't realize what the current actionable steps are can't appreciate always what you're trying to accomplish when you're taking a pause on things. And so is it, again, to my point, is it just like saying the word pause is my problem? I'm not quite sure, but there's something there. There's
something there, I think, in what both of you have been talking about, where how is it perceived? How is the response perceived? Right? There is an important factor of incidents, which is that somebody's on it. Like that's why you have status page updates. That's why you're talking with your support managers, right? And you're having them tell people like, yes, we are responding to this. Right. And it does feel wrong to say, no, we're not responding to it. Like it feels a little bit bad to put it in that state, even though there may not be anybody with energy or context to respond at the level that's necessary, given what you've decided your lie agreed upon severity is. So this interacts pretty strongly, I think, with severity, in that one of the reasons we say it's a Sev 4, it's a Sev 1, it's a Sev 2, is we're also setting expectations.
Yeah.
Right?
Once again, Emroop, as you mentioned, had a fantastic talk. Go watch it. And I am just glomming on to her great ideas and pretending like they're mine.
Totally. And I think like one of the major ways that I've seen groups choose their incident severities is by thinking through that this is the impact that we're having on customers. Is it okay? Like, is it the kind of thing where I think that we need to work through the night and we need to have people continuously addressing this problem? Or is it the kind of thing where like we could take a break if this continues to go on for much longer? And that's literally how that's like their shorthand for how they assess severity, which is totally like, you know, there's no and it's also like a misnomer to say that this is the severity of the incident, especially when you don't yet know a ton about it, right? Like you know that it could change in 5-10 minutes, which to me is also like putting an incident on hold. Feels like, well, that's bound to change. Like, do you know when it's going to change? Like, do you know what's going on really? Yeah.
I'd love to expose my ignorance for a second. I don't know of any specific academic paper or book specifically citing this. Not that they don't exist, but given the Resilience in Software Foundation Slack, where people love to lob, here's a term, here's a theory, here's an article to read, I didn't hear much about on pause specifically. Now, I think there is a wide body of work for severity. And we can certainly,
Yeah.
again, if it's like overlapping in that, we could certainly use some of those concepts and ideas. But specifically on pause, I would love to hear from either of you or anyone listening, if they have it at me, what would you cite in terms of yay or nay for pause? And I'm very much in the camp of I can be totally swayed out of this too. So
that's a good question, Will. There's also, I mean, we're really talking about status. Like, this is funny. Like, there's this weird human trait, or maybe it's an engineer trait, of like, if the system has fields, they have to be accurate. Like, right? So we have an incident management system, and it has a severity field, and it has a status field. And as an engineer, I feel like when things are in monitoring and it says identified, this is like, I'm doing about incident.io's default, I think. I'm like, can we change it? Can we change it? Can we change it? Like there's a little demon in the back of my head, a little gremlin that's like, until that's accurate, I'll feel a little bit of a dissonance with the response. And I wonder how much of that is also involved. There's a psychological component to us needing to like put down on the form what we think is the most accurate thing, when in fact it may not be necessary or even productive to do so. I'd love to hear papers on that too. Like that feels like something that has to have been studied in psychology, of like, if I give you a form and it's wrong, you're going to tell me it's wrong.
Well, John Allspaw talks constantly in his conference talks about how status, like the idea of an incident life cycle, is just total horseshit, right? And I think to me that also fits in here, because like I'm thinking of your incident, Clint, and like, how would you track the MTTR of an incident that was really preventing an incident? Like, it was like the recovery was non-existent because it was a prevention related activity, right?
It was a 0, right?
Yeah.
Oh no, -5 days actually, I think, is our MTTR for that incident, right?
We
avoided disaster by 5 days.
By 5 days. 5 days, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
But then there's also like, he talks a lot about like, or we've talked a lot about like those incidents that have been going on forever that you finally find, and or maybe they were going on and you resolved them by accident, but you didn't detect it until later, right? Like all of those different things where it's like, to me, on hold, then if you're fitting it in the status category, how does on hold fall into that mess of like, this isn't a real cycle anyways, like this isn't a scientific process, it's more of a mushy mess.
One of the things I always say about severity is that severity is how high on the flagpole you raise the red flag, and it's sort of like how many people you want to pay attention, right? And I think in the same vein, the status is kind of like what posture you want those people to have. Like, so I need help, Sev 1. I don't need help, Sev 4. Right? And then paused means if you show up and you're looking through here, don't expect any answers. We're paused. Right? Versus investigating, like there's probably a few people who are heads down on this, really, really working hard on it. So I don't think it's total horseshit in that level, even though they should be able to bounce around between them. It's not a progression from one to the next to the next, but you're trying to like get ahead of the communication overhead of, as you get help or as you get stakeholders, as you get people who have needs from you, that maybe you can get them into the right mindset before they ask their question. I do think that that's valuable. And if you have nobody who's heads down, and you have nobody who's waiting to hear back from AWS or waiting to hear, back from a customer, maybe it's accurate to say, yeah, we're on pause right now. But I don't necessarily think that's true. I think you also could say, no, we're just in an identified state, and there's a message in the status, the summary that says needs, answers from those customers. We don't expect any updates for 6 hours. They're both accurate.
I love that too, because we've been saying a lot of there's a huge overlap between status and severity. And what you just said, while I don't disagree with it either, Clint, almost flies in the face of that a bit. It's like, we don't have any answers. We're on pause. So like severity then is orthogonal to this now. It's not in any way, shape, or form, which is interesting because both truths can be there at the same time in different ways.
Maybe there's also this assessment where the two meet, right? So like I mentioned, like AWS being down, right? Which is like clearly creating urgent Sev 1s for people. And in that case, if you're like, okay, everybody go home, there's nothing we can do right now, you probably still don't want to put it on hold, because the second they come back up, you're going to need to wrangle people and stop thundering herds maybe, or whatever, right? So in that case, that you do have this kind of overlap posture situation happening where you're like, what is the posture we want to have? And do I assess that things could change very quickly? I just watched a thing about the Paradise Fire, and this idea that, wildland firefighters have this posture about how swiftly things can shift, right? And how, like, even if they think that they're really safe, or they think that there's, they kind of try to have this sense of like, how quick can this change? And the idea, like, that you probably wouldn't want to put something on hold if you have a posture against an incident where you're like, this could really shift quickly. And so even though there's nothing to maybe be done right now, we want to have some level of like attention being paid to this. Whereas if it's a Sev 4, you might not have, even if in hindsight we discover that wasn't the right, the attitudinal thing to have with the thing, like, you would probably be more likely to put something on hold, I guess. I don't know.
Well, and this starts to get into the danger of assigning severities, right? I've definitely been on a Sev 4 that we found out at the end was a Sev 1. Right? Where you're like, no, this is no big deal. Like, it's all right. Go back to your desks, people. We'll get to it. Like, we got one person on that. Like, we're gonna, and then like as they get to the resolution, right, they're like, oh God, like we may have lost data, or like there's like that moment of like, you made that severity call based on the information you had, and it made sense, and it wasn't necessarily wrong, but you find out that you gave people a relaxed posture, and that actually made things worse, right? Any action you can take. I think we just said that earlier, and I agree with it. I think it's in the How Complex Systems Fail. Every practitioner action we take is a gamble. And sometimes you crap out. And that is where I think just knowing that, like as we go back into our incidents, and as our listeners go back into our incidents, and they're looking at their status field and it has a paused button, and they're looking at their selections of Sevs and their Sev guide that somebody has painstakingly made, to also just remember that it could be horseshit, right? That what you do is just a best guess, and it's what you're trying to do, what serves your company, and to also like try to pull your emotions out of that, which is I think what we're trying to do when we put these structures in place. That's to me what I find helpful about having statuses and severities, is that they do put a structure to a thing that doesn't have it, which is weird, but it also means that I don't have to like get too emotional about it and agonize like, we picked 3. We were wrong. Let's get better at that.
Will, any parting thoughts?
I have a terrible analogy.
Excellent.
Have you ever heard that vegetables don't actually exist?
I have heard this.
Thank you. Great. So I'm not starting from base zero. The idea that vegetables as a term for produce or like is not scientifically accurate, that it doesn't ascribe to anything in particular, but you have a general idea of what it means to be quote unquote a vegetable.
Yeah, it's like how tomatoes are fruits because they have seeds, but all
Right.
vegetables have seeds, really. So anyway,
Well, it's seeds in the fruit
seed.
itself, right?
Yeah. Anyways.
So scientifically, great. Well, you proved us wrong. Vegetables don't exist. I'm not going to describe this, but you got kids, right? Are you going to want your kids to eat their vegetables? Are you going to say, well, okay, this isn't quite a vegetable. This is a legume, and you need to eat this because of such and such, and like go on a tangent? No, because you're going to say, go eat your vegetables, and they need to eat their vegetables. And it's the same point of, all models are wrong, but some are useful. Is saying something is on pause a model that is wrong, but still kind of useful.
But I always like to tell people the end of that quote that never actually gets included with the quote, which is one must keep in mind the limitations of the model. And I think the limitations and or the dangers of on hold, right, or even our model of incident cycle or whatever is like just understand where it is limited, where it is incorrect. If people don't understand that, if people aren't aware of it, they can start doing messed up things like just being like, oh, I'm just going to put this on hold because there's nothing we can do. And it will, allow our MTTR to not be so shitty at the end of this month.
Absolutely. I love it. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for joining us, Will.
Thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
This was a very, I feel like, yeah, we'll link to M's talk in the notes. And maybe we'll have to have a throwdown battle on incident status and incident severity together at another time.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thanks so much, Will.
We need more questions. That's why we asked Will to write a question into our Google form. So you can go to thisisfinepod.com and click on Ask Us a Question and ask us a question anonymously. We love practical questions. We love impractical questions. We love theoretical questions. We love very concrete questions. Whatever you want to ask us, we're here to answer it. All right. Thanks, everybody. See you soon.